My VGT calibrators. So this is actually the same controller that I use in my Universal kits or my Dodge kits. The difference is actually GUI that's on the PC versus the GUI that I give the guys with the Dodges. So this is mainly geared towards shops, because if you already have my kit for your truck, you can already do the same features, but this is just a lightweight program to make it easier for a shop to do it. Go over the harness real quick. It's real simple. It's real lightweight. You're going to have a USB connector. You're going to have your positive and negative. Comes into the harness, and then you're going to have the connectors up here. But this is actually my older style. I have two of these. Once these are gone, I'll be making my new ones. The new ones are actually going to have a connector down here, and you're going to have an 8-foot pigtail. And at the end of the pigtail, you'll actually have an individual connection instead of this one here. So this one here has 3. You have a Dodge Sprinter van, 07, 013, Dodge Cummins 67, and the same thing here, HE300. It's on a 2014 and newer. Just because there's a lot of stuff going on here, and as you know, shops might want more than just these 3 connections. It's going to be a pain in the butt to have 6 or 7 connections all at the end. So like I said, the newer one's going to have a connection here. To make this work, it's real easy. You just plug it into the turbo. If it's 12 volts, you just give a 12 volt power supply, or you have 12 volt battery. If it's a 24 volt battery, like a lot of the industrial ones, especially on the Volvos, you're going to have a 24 volt power supply. So you get it, make sure everything's connected, you give it power, you're just going to plug it in your computer. Once you find the computer, and you just open the program. Depending on what COM port you have, mine's 8, you just connect to it. Once it's connected, this is what you get. So you're going to have your commanded position, which is where you tell it to go. You're going to have your true position or actual position, where it's actually at. The load, the amount of force it takes to be there. Then you have your temperature. And this is the board temperature in Fahrenheit and Celsius. Now the board temperature is how hot the actual board is on the inside. Now this will get up to 250 degrees, and at that point you're probably going to have a bad actuator. So if your engine's at 210, 198 degrees, whatever your engine's set at, this shouldn't really be the same temperature. The one on my truck, it gets to 130. I think the highest I've seen it's like 140, 150. So these actually don't get that hot, surprisingly. At least the boards don't. Alright, so to use this, all you gotta do is click on calibrate. Once you click on calibrate, come over here, you can kind of see it move. Once it's done, it's going to go back to operating, which is, you really can't tell, but this is what is going on up here. Now the calibrate and a reset button are actually the same thing, but it's the way they go about this initialize to command is what makes them different. So if you have a brand new actuator you just bought from Holset, or you bought from someone else that's never been calibrated, you're going to have to use the calibrate button. But also, you can keep using the calibrate button like I did with this turbo, but there's some of them that won't accept it. It's going to give you internal fault error. And if that happens, you're going to have to click on reset, or you can just click reset first and see if it works. So it doesn't really matter how you do it. One of these two should work for you. So click on reset, tell you calibrating up there, come back over here. It's the exact same thing. So you come back here, now you're back to green, back to operating. Alright, so your span test is really going to tell you what's wrong with the turbo, and it's really about an interpretation of how you're going to be able to see it. So when you click on span test, you're going to watch the gear. So as the vane moves in and out, it's going to be real slow, it's going to ramp all the way out, and it's going to ramp all the way back in. Now when it's doing that, if you have a lot of soot built up on the exhaust housing, it's going to lock this in place, so it's not going to be able to move because it's stuck, right? But the motor is just going to keep on giving more and more and more power until it's maxed out to try to push through that. And you'll be able to see that actually on the screen. So you don't actually have to monitor the turbo, you just got to click on span test. And all you got to do is watch the commanded position, the actual position, and the load. So as you can see, I'm both at 100%. They're going to work all the way down to 0. And the whole time you're watching this, you can watch the actuator load. So between 40 and 60% is good. Once you get up past 60, you're going to want to start cleaning the vane, because you're going to know there's something in there. Another way to tell is if, let's say, you start at 100% like you saw. So now you're at 100%, and let's say you get down to 75, and down here at the actual position stops at 75, but the command still keeps going down to 0. It'll keep going down to 0 until it comes all the way back up. But now you know that 75% traveled, there's something wrong with the housing where it's getting stuck. So now you know for a fact that the turbo is stuck. So it gives you a little bit of diagnostic capability without actually pulling apart the turbo or taking the actuator off and grabbing the gear. You'll be able to do all this on the actual turbo. But feel free to give me a call, send me an email if you're curious about them, if you want to buy any. Yeah, let me know.